Today, we're here with Christopher Berlet from Canuc Resources. Christopher, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Tracy.
And if I understand properly, Canuc is a major discovery with cash flow. Is that correct?
Major discovery potential with cash
Ah,
flow. Yes. Yes.
okay, so let's start there. Where is the potential and tell us more?
Um, the potential is east of Sudbury, Ontario, about 30 kilometers, 20 kilometers east of Sudbury, Ontario. There it's a we have a fairly large property there, and there's two different systems that can yield IOCG type deposits. One is the McLaren Fault system, and all of which have old mine workings. So there's high grade copper mines and high grade gold mines on the property. And the copper gold kind of system is on the McLaren Fault. And then about 8 kilometers south of that is the Scanning Gold Mine, Orostar, and the Scanning Gold Mine. There's three pits and there's an underground mine working there. And we originally came to the property looking at the tailings from the Scanning Gold Mine. High grade, we have an intercept from the old pit near the old pit that was more than 12 meters of 1 ounce material in gold. So it's got some very high grade lenses and and that system may have been generated from an IOCG type model. So the properties in that property's east of Sudbury in Northern Ontario.
And of course, you just recently announced the acquisition for MacDonald Mines. Can you tell us
Yeah.
more about this?
Originally, that company goes back to the 1930s, but the property that we picked up is east of Sudbury, Ontario, almost 200 square kilometers, 197,000 hectares. So it has these past producing gold mines on it, and past producing high grade copper and gold mines. The what originally took us to the property was the tailings, because these IOCG deposits, they require money for exploration. And we have that kind of potential with a silver asset in Mexico. Silver and magnetite, extremely high grades, bonanza grades of silver. And so we looked at this tailings project from the Scanning Gold Mine. The Scanning Gold Mine and Orostar produced about 150,000 tons of tailings from the 1980s. So we assayed this tailings. It's grading around 1.2 grams, 1.3 grams per ton. We took samples, we drilled it through to confirm, took more than 100 samples to confirm the grades. There's one section that's a little higher grade. That's probably where the pipes came in from the mill. And then we took samples and we sent them to SGS Lakefield and did metallurgical test work and confirmed that has fantastic leach kinetics. There's no impurities, and we can get more than 80% recoveries in 24 hours. So what we're looking at there in the tailings is 5,000 recoverable ounces from 150,000 tons of tailings. That's $25 million worth of gold at today's gold prices. And the capex for this, with a VAT leach format, is about $1 million, maybe a bit more, but not much more. And we're working our way through that now. And we have a permit for it. We've had a permit since November 2023. And the purpose of this is to make money, so we can afford drilling and pay for our drilling without issuing shares in Mexico. That's the reason we got involved there. And we could see it'll take about 200 tons a day. It'll take about 24 months to get through the 150,000 tons of tailings that's there in the tailings impound. And we'll return it to the location that it came from, and then rehabilitate the site and be done. That was our original plan. However, as we got into that process, we realized that the company that sold the tailings to us was also a fantastic opportunity, distressed for the same reason, really, in that they didn't have cash flow to pursue these really exceptional exploration targets that are on that property. So a number of things happened. The first is we've identified high-grade gold lenses around the old mine workings. We're looking at the first one. We'll probably have between 20 and 25,000 ounces of 8 grams plus material from surface. Mineable, I mean, we're talking therefore about $100 million gold inventory. Small mine workings are exposed in about 60 to 80,000 tons that we could pursue for further cash flow initiatives on the property. And that's one of three that we've already identified around old workings. But the main driver of the exploration initiatives for MacDonald Mines had been the potential for IOCG type deposits, which are big, very valuable, contain fantastic metal inventories associated with iron, and there's two different parts of the property where the model suggests that there can be IOCG kind of orogenesis. One is on the McLaren Fault, and now the Canadian government's getting involved there to do some work because that whole hypothesis began around 2007 with a geologist named Dr. Louise Caraveau from the Geological Service of Canada, and that's progressed in various stages, with several papers having been written on the prospect for IOCG geology on the McLaren Fault. And now the Canadian government's going to come in there and do seismic. The other area is about 8 kilometers south, which is where the gold mines are. The past producing gold mines, the high grade structures, the Scadding Gold Mine, Orostar. The Scadding is comprised of East Pit, South, North, and the main underground mine workings. And all of this mineralogy there comes with chlorite. The gold comes with pyrite, chalcopyrite, and chlorite. And there's an iron association and a hypothesis for IOCG potential for having been the source of these high grade gold lenses, which are manifest on surface. So there's some fantastic large scale, high impact discovery potential on this property. And as is often the case, it's difficult, to finance these things if there's an absence of cash flow and when the markets turn against you. So they were in that kind of predicament. So having looked at the tailings, having made a deal on the tailings for the Scadding Gold Mine, and having received a permit and structured a way that we can process those tailings and recover gold economically, and make anywhere between 15 and $20 million, which was going to, be able to be applied towards our own drilling program. We looked at the possibility of this property and the attributes that it had, and we're able to progress with acquisition of the MacDonald Mines property itself. And the first thing that came from that is that in addition to the tailings, there are high-grade gold lenses around the old mine workings. So there's an extended path to cash flow and increasing cash flow. So the tailings grades about 1.2 grams per ton. We're creating the vat leach process to be able to process those tailings. When we get into mining of the high grade lenses, the grade will go to 8 grams per ton. So the cash flow can meaningfully increase. And there are quantities of high grade material that will provide provide potential for robust recoveries and cash flow, which will allow us to pursue some of these exploration targets without issuing shares.
I think you wanted to tell me a little bit more about what's going on with the drilling program.
There is a lot of historical data. There's over 30,000 meters of core there. One of the things that we'll do is, one of the things we have done actually is take pulps and rejects and send them to the lab. But there's a substantial inventory of data. Over 160 drill holes are around the Scadding Gold Mine since production in the 1980s. So these are more recent drilling, and then there's some drilling on the McLaren Fault. So there's a substantial, there's a gravity survey, there's IP surveys, there's lots of work on the property that was suggesting and leading towards some significant targeting initiatives, and it was increasingly difficult for the company to finance that exploration, and therein lies the opportunity today. A tremendous accumulation of data with advanced targeting on a very compelling target in a tier 1 jurisdiction. It looks as if there's more than $30 million of deferred exploration of exploration expenditure of the past accumulated exploration, and some of it isn't even database. there are shafts on the property that precede 1950 and shafts that precede from like 1903 in the copper zones, high grade gold and high grade copper. So there's no data for that other than the assays that you can get from old workings. So there is a tremendous accumulation of data, and that's a material advantage, and it's still valued below the historical exploration spend, which is an indication of how substantially underpriced the MacDonald Mines acquisition was, or assets were, and really how compelling the valuation prospects are today for Canuc.
So, Christopher, you've been very quiet about Canuc Resources, and you've been working behind the scenes for the last year or two on this deal. All of a sudden, you're starting to do PR and tell us about it. Tell us more. Why now? And what should we as shareholders be anticipating coming up next?
So the government of Canada is doing seismic on the McLaren Fault, going to identify targets, major drill targets for IOCG geology. 20 kilometers east of Sudbury, Ontario, in Tier 1 jurisdiction with very large, discovery potential. They've made this assessment after a lot of review and by very qualified geologists. So, number one, we're going to get that data. That process is going to happen. They're going to be doing seismic, and we're going to have targeting and ultimately drilling for those in early 2026. The other is that we're going to do a property-wide gravity survey, because really a lot of these gold systems around the Scadding Gold Mine, they're manifest on surface and they have high grades. Then there's cover. We've identified 3 high-grade gold lenses so far. There could be as many as 10 or 15 going all the way west to the property boundary and going east towards the Orostar mine. And a lot of it is undercover. But the potential for identifying, and it's brought in with the chlorite and the irons, and this a gravity survey is perhaps the number one recommended way to pursue the prospect of the dense amalgamation that would result from an IOCG type formation that in this instance carries gold. So that survey will be happening in Q1 2026, airborne gravity survey on 100-meter centers for the entire property with planes based out of Oshawa, and that will provide targeting also for not only the McLaren Fault system, for which there already is some gravity work, but also for the Scadding Gold Mine system. And then the targets that we're looking at there are very big economic targets of merit in a Tier 1 jurisdiction. So that's important. The company itself has worked on a similar type project in Mexico since 2020, where we found magnetite, we found extremely high grades of silver in veins on surface and associated with the magnetite, which is also suggestive of IOCG mineralogy. So in aggregate, the company has projects that have very large discovery potential of large economic deposits, and we're developing a method of being able to conduct this exploration without issuing shares. We need cash flow in order to have a capital structure that can be disciplined in order to support a re-rating of shares with this type of discovery. And that's the way we've set up the company. So that's what we're really making an effort to convey to the market today.
So for all of you treasure hunters out there, this sounds like a company you should definitely keep on your radar. So for more information, please go to Canuc Resources website. And Christopher, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it.